What up, YouTube fam? It's been an exciting couple weeks. Ready to show y'all how I put this beat together. Let's get it. What's good, y'all? It's your man Psych back again. Thanks to everybody for being patient with me. As some of you guys know, my full-time job is as a graphic designer, web designer, and photographer, as well as video. So it's been a really busy last couple weeks. Basically, I just had a whole bunch of client projects I had to finish up, and you know how it goes, man. Bills come first. Also, I've been working on some new video equipment to improve the channel. Got a new Zion crane. I put an unboxing just for people who are interested in it on my photography and video guys. But yeah, I'm looking forward to using the new equipment. You should have seen a nice little intro to this one right here with some B-roll. And, I'm looking to just continually upgrade the channel and the quality as well as the video projects for my clients. So, I'm just thinking long term with all the upgrades. Once again, thanks for tuning in. The love has been crazy the last couple weeks, man. We went from 300 to over 500 followers in just a little over 2 weeks. So I really appreciate y'all tuning in and hitting that subscribe button. Once again, if you guys like MPC videos, if you like, creative photography, web design, graphic design, and, as well as all the other creative stuff we do with the music, feel free to hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and I will be on your timeline as soon as I drop another one. Now, since I had a delay this week, I got a couple surprises for y'all. For one, I'm going to be dropping at least 2 videos this week. So this is number 1. Should be another one coming in another day or 2. In addition to that, I got 100 likes on my last video, which I said I would give away a free kit for y'all. So I got my website running, imsite.com. By the time this hits the airwaves, you guys will have that kit available on my website. You'll see the link below, and you can just download it, put it in your MPC, put it in your machine or whatever DAW you're using. And it's just basically a kit with a lot of my favorite drums. So, I hope you guys appreciate it. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I just want to give back and show you guys love for all the love you've been showing me. All right. So I'm going to show y'all how I put together a dope little beat you heard in the intro. Let's get busy. All right, so first things first, when I first got into this particular beat, I was kind of like in a subdued mood. So I didn't feel like making nothing too energetic. I wanted something a little bit moody with some hard drums. So if any of you guys know my style so far, I really like the pad perform feature, the chord function right on the MPC 2.0 software. It actually is on the previous MPCs as well, but it's something I go to all the time for inspiration, just to come up with some basic chord structures. And with this particular beat, what I did was I went into the progressions tab and I went into pentatonic minor and hit the godly chord bank. I usually use those godly chords. I like them because they tend to be really dramatic sounding. And that's something I use, you'll hear me say that word in my beats a lot. So, I like the drama, the kind of sound that it puts out with those godly chords. But I'll try different ones, the piano ones, depending if I'm going for more of like a pop style beat or if I'm going for something a little more moody. So this one was definitely on the moody side. So I went to pentatonic minor and I just came up with a basic chord structure. So just a very simple pattern, and I kind of came up, I wanted like an organ type of sound, again, going with that whole moody look. A whole moody type of sound. So I pulled up the Expand 2. Again, I try to use all the stock plugins, at least for now. For probably this next year, I'm just really locking in on stock plugins that come with the Akai MPC Touch, the Live, and the MPCX. This Expand 2 plugin comes with it, part of that Air bundle. The actual sound that I went with is this one called Scanner Pad, and that's that organ sound that you hear. At this point, I kind of had like a basic feel for, where I wanted to go, just a, a regular pad progression. First, I started with just the kicks and snares. So here goes the drum pattern that I came up with. Real basic. And then I wanted the hi-hats to have a 16th pattern, but I didn't want them to be really stiff. So what I did was I took the hi-hat with the 16 levels, you should be able to see the pads that I'm hitting. Basically, I put it on velocity on 16 levels, and I use this as the in-between. So it's a subtle 16th pattern. It's like you mainly hear the eighth notes, and then you hear kind of the 16th notes, or the in-between ones, are just this low velocity one. I also adjusted the swing. So I put the time correct on 16th notes, and then I put the swing at about 54. And then basically I went in and hit the shift timing. I'm not going to do it now because it'll adjust it and take it off time that I had it on. But I put the shift timing at 1. I turned the time correct strength down to about 90 to give it a little more of an organic feel. So I just played it myself with just a little bit of swing on the time correct, and it came out like this. Open hats, as you'll hear. So at that point I was feeling the groove, but it just seemed a little too melancholy, like it was getting a little boring. What I wanted to do is give it a little more movement. I like the 16th notes on the hi-hats, so I wanted to give it a little more of that kind of staccato feeling, which is kind of like a chopped up type of sound. So what I did was I copied track 6, which was the scanner pad, over to track 7, and then I changed the notes. So this is kind of a quick way, where you can use the same chord progression, but just, either double the patch, like add a second patch to layer it. Or in this case, what I did was I went to expand and got this arpeggio pattern, which is called synth-cope. And, I just went here to simple arpeggios, and synth-cope is right here. This is like an arpeggiated pattern, which is, it's going to be playing the notes, in an arpeggio fashion. So I'll solo it so you can hear it. It sounds pretty complicated, but when you choose one of these arpeggiated patterns, it actually plays that for you in case you're not familiar with it. So I took that same chord pattern. I didn't play anything new. That's the same exact thing I used for that last part of the sequence for the main loop, and it's just a second layer. So when you play the two on top of each other, it sounds like this. So I thought that was pretty dope, kind of feeling like a bass line coming on. And at this point, I kind of already had a bass line in my head how I wanted it to go. But what I did was to make it real simple, instead of trying to play everything on the keys, which again is cool, but sometimes I just want to knock a pattern out. I went back into pad perform mode, and I didn't touch any of the settings as far as the scale and octave. I kept that all the same, kept it on pentatonic minor. And this time, instead of progressions, I hit the notes button. And what that does is it allows you to play just within that scale, right on the pads. So, if you're not great at playing, this is a quick and dirty way where you can, play a bass line or play, some accompanying notes that match the scale, and you don't have to worry about, playing notes off if you use the keyboard. So It's kind of a cheat, but I like it because it's quick and it allows me to lay down ideas really quickly. The bass line, I came up with this. Now, for the synth that I used, I went with the hybrid, which is like my go-to, and this is becoming my favorite bass. It says big kick bass, and you just basically go right into your basic basses, and it's like the 5th one down. And I like this one a lot because it sounds kind of dirty right there and a little bit distorted, but if you know, adjust this filter, you can make it really low, subby, and bassy. But I wanted a little more top end on this one. It sounded a little funkier, so when I added it to the rest of it, it sounded like this. At that point, I thought that it sounded good. It just needed a little something coming around on the turn. So when it loops to that 4th bar, usually I like to throw something in there, a riser or something like that. And what I ended up throwing in, I went to another track, which in this case was track 5, and I went to the loom, and I found this this sound called Death Point. I thought it was pretty cool. It's kind of like a riser, but just like a subtle one. You give it a cool little texture on the turnaround. So when I threw that in, it sounded like this. I thought it was dope because it had a little tail on it. When you let it off, it's like, yow. So I thought it was dope. So at this point, I was ready to start, you know, putting it together into, like, I felt like it was coming up to the point where it was almost ready. I just had to throw it into different sequences. So I copied the sequence, and in this one, I actually muted the scanner pad, which is kind of the organ sound. I really thought the arpeggio was good and solid as a loop. So by itself, I thought it sounded pretty good. So I figured I'd throw the organ back in as a second sequence. So I made that main. What I wanted to do when I threw the organ back in was make a separate pattern that had both of them and also a couple more accompaniments. Then I just found some vocal samples, just did some digging online, and I found a nice little vocal sample for this female singing. And it was pretty plain by itself. So I went ahead and added some effects to it, and it gave it like a delay and a reverb. Now, quick tip for you guys, I'm gonna go make a video about this separately. In your mixer, what I like to do every single beat, I do almost the same exact thing. In my aux channel, my return channels, I'll open a reverb, turn the wet all the way to 100, turn the decay up, and this is to taste, you know, it depends on how long you want it to be, and just make some adjustments on it, but I make sure that's all the way up to wet. All right, and the same thing here. I'll throw a delay on the second one on the return channel, throw that all the way up to wet, and adjust the time, you know, based on the track, what sounds good. And then I'll throw this DB33. And again, these are all stock plugins, so this is nothing you got to spend any extra money on. But this DB33 effects is actually like an organ tube amp type of preamp that goes with the organ plugin. The DB33 is a plugin that comes with the Air bundle as well. So this is the effects section of that. And I'll put that on there just to add some grit and some, you know, it says character, drive, high cut. You can do some really kind of gritty things with this. And I'll use this to kind of muddy up and dirty up certain sounds and make them sound more analog. And again, I turn that all the way up. With this particular one, I don't think you have to make it wet. Yeah, it just by default is all the way wet. So what that means is basically these channels are just for running sounds into. So the reason I'll put them on these aux channels, for those who don't know, is now when I go into my drums, or I go into any of my sounds, all I have to do to get effects on it, like say this sound right here, I want to make it dirtier. Now on send 1, I have that reverb. On send 2, I have that delay. And on send 3, I have that dB33, so which is like an analog sound. So just so you can hear it, there's my reverb. Just turn it up and down. And this is cool because you're only using one reverb. You're not eating up a whole bunch of insert effects. You're just using one effect. And you know, it's called an effects bus, and it's something I learned back in the day when I was using, you know, old analog boards and stuff. But it's a real efficient way to use your plugins for those who don't know. There's a delay, and you can turn the delay up and down as you want, and it basically, whatever sound, every single sound you hit will have its own controls, you see. So each one is dialed in a different bit. So a lot of people ask me how I mix the way I do. This is it, and I'll do a full video on it, so I'm not going to take too long, but just so you know what I did to kind of get that sound from her. I made it a little dirty because it didn't sound anything like that. It sounded like this. It was really dry, and I actually went in and took an EQ. And again, this TDR Nova is a free EQ if you don't have one that you like. I like it better than the EQ that comes with the MPC software. So I threw the TDR Nova in there and, you know, dropped a high pass filter and a little bit of a low pass filter on there. And that kind of gave her almost like a, you know, like a phone type of sound. And I put my effects on it. Boom, I'm good to go. So I went ahead and threw those vocals in, and it sounded like this. I made a change up in the drums at the end, which you'll hear right here. So that breakdown at the end, as you probably know by now, it's all about building up that drama for the hook. So now I'm ready for the hook. I knew I had the base of the beat set. I wanted to add something a little bit dramatic on top, and this is what I came up with. I went to the Vacuum Pro, which again is a plugin that comes a stock plugin. I'm gonna stop saying it because you guys probably get it by now. And I picked one called Convictions. I was just cycling through sounds, playing stuff. Again, in pad prefer mode. And I just played the beat for a little while, and I just played over top of it until I found a pattern that I liked, and I came up with this. Yeah, so at this point, I feel like I got the whole beat together. It's time to just break it down into sequences and then put it into song mode. Now, I'm gonna make another video about song mode for you guys, but just real quick, what I did was at this point, I had 3 sequences. I had a main, which just had that organ type, actually had just the arpeggiator on there. I had the main with the vocals, which also brought the organ back in. And then I had the hook, which had both of those, and that Conviction synth on top. So that's the one I want to use for the chorus. It was bigger. You know, I wanted to add, you know, just add more elements during the chorus on this particular beat. So the last thing I needed was an intro. I kept it kind of simple. Actually, what I did was I just muted out all the drums, had the arpeggiator start the first 4 bars, and then the second 4 bars, I had the organ come in, and I just did a little breakdown on the kick and snare. So the intro sounded like this, and I'll just play through all the sequences for you to show you how I set it up. Drop that organ in there. And I'll probably structure it with the hook coming next like this. Bar loop, so I'll probably let it go twice. We'll bring in the main part for the verse. Next part with the organ, and you know this one breaks down real nice before they bring the hook back in. Back to the hook. Yeah, so that's it. It's kind of a simple beat, but I like the feel. You know what I mean? I got at my system what I was going for, which was kind of like a Moody, hard drums. Kind of reminds me like a T- type of beat. Shout out to T- too. I can't believe that dude retired. One of my favorite producers. So that's that, man. Hope you guys like the beat. If you do like it, make sure you hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications so you guys will know every time I upload. Promise you guys 2 videos this week. This is 1 of 2. And the next one I might be a little more like a tutorial. Just get down and dirty on some of the features. And I'm probably just going to go on a streak of videos showing how I use certain features on the MPC. So yeah, that's that. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Y'all have a good week. Peace.